Okay, go.
So, uh, okay, so the question is, okay, so there's blatant abuse, right? Like the abuse that is black and white. We know that's abuse. We know it's wrong. We know, whatever.
Physical, mental abuse.
Physical and mental abuse.
Yes.
Black and white. And even then, it's like, okay, there are. So the what my point was that, yes, could it be black and white? Yes, there are so many elements to that are black and white. But could we then dissect it into, are there micro abuses, such as in my example was like, for instance, a blatant lie,
Mm-hmm.
and then in comparative to a white lie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a blatant lie, we can say, okay, that is a blatant lie, and this person is a liar, and it's very black and white, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and after a while, depending on what it is, like, anyway, it's very black and white. This huge lie that anybody would agree with, that it's like, yeah, that is wrong, that is a lie, blah blah. And then we look at these like white lie, what we call white lies, right?
So you're
So
asking.
I'm using it as an example, like not even as an example. It's even as just like a metaphor, like of like abuse that is black and white, that we know, again, physical abuse
Mhm.
and mental abuse that is very black and white. We know that is wrong.
Right.
Um, and then having micro abuses, right? Like where it's like,
White lies here and there.
yeah, and I'm saying like white lies because I don't know what else to like kind of compare something like that to. That would be like, that could be like a again, I'm using the word micro abuse because I don't know what else to, like a white abuse, right?
Yeah.
Like, like white abuse.
White abuse.
Where it's like, again, like somebody who and this was where I was gonna go with it, and I hesitate to, because I don't necessarily want to bring that up and put it in someone's face or anything like that. But I hesitate to, because I don't necessarily want to bring that up and put it in someone's face or anything like that. But this micro abuse of stringing somebody along
Mm-hmm.
for so many months, years, and in stringing someone along like that are the micro abuses, right? Like, is that it? Could we look at that as like, so like telling someone about that you want to have this future, telling someone that you want to do all of these things, and then when it comes down to it, and it's like, okay, well, let's commit, and then it's like, no, I can't do that. 9.5 miles. But then you turn it around, and there's a blame on the other person who is asking for a commitment because that's what they need, and then it said, oh, you're asking for too much, and also you're the reason we are not together.
Yeah.
When you start to, and then in between all of that, you code it with these things that you know this person wants to hear. Then you twist things around and get in their head and say, like, well, I think you're in your head. I think you're
Gaslighting.
Yes, and there's these micro abuses of gaslighting. That's what I mean. Like those things that are underlying that, like, one may not
Because we
necessarily
were discussing
blatantly
how
see.
this person refuses to deal with any type of abuse. But you're saying that is considered abuse because it's just little things.
Could it be
prolonged? Yes.
Right. You know what I'm
Because
saying? That's what I'm saying. It's like, could we look at those
Yeah.
as micro abuses that if over time that micro abuse
Will blow up.
becomes abuse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I was like trying to, and I hesitate to, because I don't necessarily want to bring that up and put it in someone's face or anything like that. But this micro abuse of stringing somebody along
Mm-hmm.
for so many months, years, and that if it, over time that micro abuse
will blow up,
becomes abuse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I was like trying to. Could we look at that? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like because we could sit here and be like, so and so's like, fuck them because they were blatantly abusive. But
what about the people that are manipulating through the entire relationship?
Right.
Here and there.
Right.
The white lies, not just white lies, but not
the white abuses.
Yeah. Yeah. The white abuses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's,
that is
all,
the type
that's,
of
that's
it's
all
like
it
a
is.
tree. Like you have the branches,
Uh-huh.
right? And then you have the leaves and the roots, that whole thing.
Mhm.
Those micro white abuses are a part of that tree of abuse. You know what I mean? They may not be the big bulky branch, but they're still a part of it that make it a form of abuse.
Like the leaves.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's not good.
So that's all I'm saying is like we could really stone someone for being blatantly abusive.
Like, he slaps me around.
Mhm.
That's
But
blatantly abusive.
blatantly abusive.
Or he tells me I'm ugly, verbally abusive. He tells me I'm fat and puts me
Or
down
she.
and says I'll never.
Or she.
Yeah, well, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
But why are we not talking about these? I will say micro abuses because I don't want to offend anyone. Like
Yeah.
I was saying white abuse, but like
White
abuse.
Well, we were talking about cocaine prior to this, so yeah.
So yeah, just that like.
Yeah, I agree. I
Micro-abuse
think
is
it's a
in-
form. I think it's it's a form of abuse. Yeah, that's what I think. That's your question.
And that's where I am getting at with with that conversation.
Because that person was saying, "Oh, I will never put up with blatant abuse," but you're saying, "Well, what your partner was doing, in my eyes, was micro dosing."
That if over time that micro abuse
will blow up,
becomes abuse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I was like trying to. Could we look at that? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like because we could sit here and be like, so and so's like, fuck them because they were blatantly abusive. But conversation
Because that person was saying, "Oh, I will never put up with blatant abuse," but you're saying, "Well, what your partner was doing, in my eyes, was micro dosing abuse." Like,
Right.
You know what I mean? It was micro
Right.
doses of abuse.
So to me, it's like I get. I know I really like that. I
Yeah.
get the blatant in how you could look at the fact that it's like one is more severe than the other,
Yeah.
and
But it doesn't mean they're both not bad.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that so there's an overlook of these micro abuses and microaggressions that happen.
That if you're not going to put up with the bigger type of abuse, we'll say bigger, then you shouldn't put up with the other.
Right.
There you go.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where my argument is like, well, you know what? Like to me, like that is and actually it's almost worse because you're just like
Tolerating it.
Well, no, but the person who's doing it, they know they're doing it because that takes strategy
Yeah.
and that takes thought.
You're
Where you're
staying-
blatant,
dragging
a
out the
lot of the time
relationship.
that blatant abuse is like reactive. So it's kind of like a murder, right? Like it's what are they a premeditated murder,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like the micro abuses are actually premeditated because-
Murders.
You know.
And then the conversation took a turn. Went from micro abuse, white abuse to murder.
So I mean, can we look at one is worse than the other? Sure, we can totally do that, and yes, and to a large degree, I probably
Define worse.
yes.
Both affect you.
But
And one might be worse in that moment where you have a black eye, but the micro white abuses, or whatever you're calling them, over time, you will still get the black eye. So what's worse?
And-
Slowly getting the black eye, metaphorically speaking, or just blatantly having,
right. And
getting
somebody-
punched in the
and-
face
and-
versus
and the
cutting you slowly.
micro-abuser, like not even acknowledging it, not even acknowledging, and in fact turning it around.